Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Investing is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Turning a profit is scary, but I've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we do need patience, and there are plenty of them out there.
Yes, sir.
So we take, I don't remember the exact, it's either 6 or 7 different types of insurance. So, we're close to the military, all sorts of things. So it's going to happen. It's all in honor of my mom.
Yeah.
And when I'm scared, I know that, I have to remember why I'm here and what brought me here. So I know God will provide and make it all happen. So the butterfly is the symbol of my mom and her spirit, and we release butterflies at our wedding. And so that is, you'll see that thematically throughout everything that I do. And so now we should probably talk about COVID.
Probably.
How can we get into that?
Well, let me back up for just a second, if it's okay. So you have written 11 books.
Yeah.
You're also a professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about books. We need to talk about professional bodybuilding. We need to talk about your app.
Okay.
And we also need to talk about COVID too.
Okay.
COVID was an interesting thing, especially owning a gym, because you've owned that gym now, or at that point, for 8 years, roughly.
I opened my gym in like 2012. So
yeah. So 8 years. So 2020.
I'm going to take you to 2017. I'm going to take you 2017 chronologically. That is when I started bodybuilding.
Okay. So why?
When I worked at 24 Hour Fitness, a lot of the dudes that I worked with did bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they were using stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do that. So my clients at my studio were like, how come you never do that stuff, Megan? Like you're like so fit. It would be easy for you. And I'm like, well, there's kind of a dark side to it that I don't do anything in moderation, clearly. If I get in that rabbit hole, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go all the way, and substance abuse. And it's not good for me.
Right.
But, an old coworker from 24 Hour Fitness I had stayed in touch with, said, hey, there's natural bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, all right, well, what is that? And he says, you get drug tested, just straight up eat clean, train hard, work it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I go, okay. He goes, well, I'll help you. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, all right. I always like to, kind of like how things line up. Like I'm episode 222, like how do I line this up? So it was like I was like, okay, it'll be a New Year's resolution, right? Because it was December.
Yeah.
So I signed up for the competition that's in March, and I did it. And it was at Harrah's Casino out, by like Valley Center out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I did okay for my first one. And then I had signed up for 2 because they were like back to back to each other.
Mm-hmm.
My first competition, I did okay. I might have had the most attendance in the audience, and I did okay, but I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
But the second one a month later in Bakersfield, I got my pro card that day.
That's awesome.
I had what it took. I just had to figure out how to pose up there.
Like put it together.
Once I figured that out, I was okay. So,
how did you get that cut?
It's just eating clean and hard work. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And
you're shredded in those pictures.
Yeah, it's straight up discipline.
Wow.
I am. Yeah, I'm preparing for a competition right now. So week by week, it gets there. So from there, like I got asked to be on Team USA. I went to Italy, and like fell into it,
Yeah.
and it really, um, it it replaces that like basketball athleticism competitive that I've always had.
Yeah.
And so it gives me something in my adult life to be able to have that outlet and something to work towards, because when someone comes here to train with me, they have like a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I could exercise and go through the motions every day, but without a goal or a why, it's like, I'd rather just use the 5 pounder, like, if there's no purpose to this. So
Right.
it gives me, passion to participate a little bit harder. And so like I've been all over the world. I've been to Australia, South Korea, France, New Zealand. It has changed my life in incredible ways. And it's like me and my husband are like, all right, where to next? We
Mm-hmm.
get to see the world, and he's my greatest supporter and cheerleader. Um, he like makes my chicken for me, he's great. We're like totally complete opposites in every single way. He doesn't exercise or eat healthy, but I mean, I couldn't ask for better. So I think my dad likes him more than he likes me, and that's okay too. Um, but so I got a good one there. And
So,
so that's bodybuilding.
so you get into bodybuilding, natural, right?
Hmm.
And you're now obviously successful at it and doing really, really well. You get your pro card on your
Yeah,
second competition, which is insane, right? What's
I
your
can't hear you.
favorite thing? Sorry,
I can't hear you.
you can't hear me?
No.
Oh wow, that's not good.
Oh, now I can. Now I can.
Okay. Wow, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So you get your pro card on your second
Hmm.
competition. That's amazing. That's insane.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about being a professional natural bodybuilder?
Well, certainly, like I was discussing, seeing the world and those
Mm-hmm.
experiences. I love all of it. I love
Yeah,
the smell of the tan. I love like every piece of it, like getting my makeup done, putting the
that's
outfits
cool.
together, practicing posing. Like I love all of it. Um, it's hard. It
Yeah.
is super hard. And there are moments where I go, I'm not gonna do this again. It's a lot of sacrifice. It can be isolating. It's hard to have a social life.
Mm-hmm.
I figured it out a lot. I I think that one of the things that someone knows about me is that I am willing to say no.
Yeah.
Right? You bake me something, I'll say no. And some people think it's rude, or some people like go, it's like, I don't know why you handed me that, because
Yeah.
but I think another thing that helps me to be successful is that I can be social and I can go do things. I just come prepared.
Yeah.
So it's nobody else's problem. This is it's not a problem, but it's my own thing. So like I
Right.
don't expect you to make me a special dinner. Like I get,
Right.
so I've learned how to, and I'll say, please just let me. And that nips a lot of it. And I think a lot of people don't know how to kind of allocate it in a way where they think that like you can't go do anything, but you can. Um,
Just have to figure out a way, right?
you just gotta figure out a way. If you really want, I want to win. So
Is it possible that one of your favorite things about this is how hard it is?
probably so.
I get
I
that
like
feeling
the
about you.
challenge.
I get this feeling that you're all about the challenge,
I like the challenge.
right?
I like,
At
I
least
can like, I can wig out on like looking at, sometimes they'll post like, uh, the list of like what time your tan is or what time your
Mhm.
makeup or hair is, and so they have all the girls' names, and I'll go on Instagram and I'll look up every girl. What does she look like? What does she look like? What am I
Yeah,
going against? And I have no idea if she's going to be my category or not. But
right.
like I'm gonna be okay. Just I'm into it. I like it a lot. So
That's cool. So let's talk about 2017 you get into natural professional bodybuilding.
yeah.
2020 rolls up and here's COVID right between
Okay.
the eyes. Talk about what you had to do to deal with COVID and also to survive, because a lot of gyms, a lot of fitness centers went under.
Yeah. So 2018 was when I started my doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still in school and I had my business and I was working full time, and yeah, and then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, blast out an email. Hey, look, you guys, I got to shut down. These are the rules. I don't know what's happening. Stay tuned. And over time, I transitioned to online.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I lost probably, I don't know, 40-50% of my clientele
Wow.
during that time period. But you know what? The ones that stayed around, they kept paying me through COVID
Mm-hmm.
because they knew if I don't pay you, you're not going to be here when this is over.
Right.
I had clients give me their, like their whatever it was, like the stipend,
Mm-hmm.
that some of that just to help me,
Mm-hmm.
because you still had to pay rent. You still had to, I applied for all of the, the government help and loans, and I got them all. I paid my landlord 6 months in advance because that's that was what the money was for. So I did good
Mm-hmm.
by him. Um, and it was hard. My mental health was like, man, it was messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I got down to 101 pounds. I mean, right now I'm like 118, so I was like emaciated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, clients would do the drive-by by my house, like, "Are you okay?" And it's like they could see me on the videos that I was just withering away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I mean, I'm the type of person that when my anxiety or mental health is exasperated, I can eat as much as I want or run, so I just dwindle away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm not eating. It's not like I could eat whatever I want at that point and just
Mm-hmm.
still lose it. So that's what stress does to me. I think it's just like being on edge. I burn more fat and burn more calories. So I got really skinny. Um, and I had to find a way to find my purpose
Mm-hmm.
during that time period
Yeah.
because I didn't know like what to do. And I found a deeper connection with God and my faith, and like, how am I going to get through this? A serenity prayer, because this is definitely out of my control.
Right.
And I wrote my first book.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote the story Biceps and Butterflies, and that's the story of me and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I published it, and it was a way, like I had, John Quintera with the radio show, and
Mm-hmm.
he helped me pub it a little bit. And, I sold a lot of books during COVID, and I ended up writing a series of books throughout it. And so I had 4 books in that series. And then I liked it. So from those 4 books, I got hired to write 2 cookbooks.
Wow. Cool.
So that just happened like organically
Yeah.
out of the blue. And then I did my research study, and that got published into a textbook.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, they contacted me. So that was like, okay.
Wow.
Just blessings on blessings. And then I was
Sure.
like, well, now, I don't know how to do anything or give anything up. So I was like, what's next? So I wrote my first children's book.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had pugs my whole life. Pugs are on my mural. I have 2 pugs now, Steve Nash and Scottie Pippen, all the basketball.
Yeah.
So I wrote my first pug book, which is about a pug that becomes a bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote that story. Then I kept going. The second one about a pug who plays basketball. And now the third one about a pug who says no to drugs. So it just kind
Wow,
of,
that's cool.
so that's how the 11 books came to be. And
Yeah.
I have like a really great relationship with the publishing company that I have. And so like they helped me find an artist and all of that. And it's funny because just in the last couple of days, um, I don't know, I got something in my head about maybe how to animate it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about reaching out to like Cal State San Marcos or Miracosta, because sometimes the students take on projects, and it could be a cool, like media or whatever niche that is to do that, because you never know where it could go.
Yeah.
So yes, okay.
We're going to be
Then
interviewing some people from Miracosta for the
yeah,
podcast.
okay. Well, if they know anyone,
Yeah, we can plug
um,
you in. We can plug you in. So let's talk about the app for a second.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I'm like
Okay.
losing my voice. I'm not used to talking this much.
You're doing great.
So, all right, the app. Okay, so after my after I finished my doctorate, I don't know, I don't even know where God just puts thoughts in your mind. So I always pray, like, what's next? What do you want me to do? Like, I'll follow your lead. And the app thing came to be. And I like never go on LinkedIn. So I don't know why that particular day I went on LinkedIn, and people send you all sorts of messages, and it was like somebody building an app, and I was like, what? So I looked at a couple of them. I asked some people who are like really good at social media that I trained, like, do you know anyone? And so they kind of I got a quote from like a local company in San Diego, and that was on LinkedIn. And then I got one that was like, outsource overseas kind of platform.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, local business. So I went with that one. And, I built an app with them. They're called Tap Crew. And I had to film like, oh my God, like 300 workout videos. It was gnarly. And scripted all of them, and they built that app. So it's called Fit Pace, which is proactive awareness controlling excess, and it's in the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, and it's based on my textbook. So what happened during the textbook is that they had my research study, and they said, well, you have to add more. And they're like, well, what would come next from your research? And I'm like, okay, good question. And that's where the PACE came up with, which is proactive awareness controlling yourself. So it's the fact that when a person is in recovery and they are trying to abstain from their drug of choice, or whatever they're using or doing, they tend to replace one thing with another. It might just be cigarettes, it might be sugar. But what can happen is, just like in the cycle of addiction, you go through the phases. So you build tolerance, it's more, right? It starts to take away from your personal relationships. It just has this creep in nature about itself. And then it becomes excessive, and it becomes just disruptive to your life.
Right.
And exercise. So what comes next? So that, I said, okay, well, I started to look at exercise addiction, and there actually is no current diagnosis for that by the American Psychiatric Association. So it's a behavior. The only behavior that has a diagnosis is gambling.
Yeah.
But you can become addicted to anything. You can become addicted to knitting, so exercise falls in that. And so that's just like, that's a whole branch of it. So now I get why. But it imposes a lot of danger to yourself, physically, that can take place. And so I was like, well, you know what? If I'm talking about using exercise in your recovery as a tool, not a replacement, how could you keep that in the realm of healthy?
Right.
And that's where I came up with PACE. So now it's a program. So if a person's in recovery, and I want to use it with patients at my treatment center too, like you could just use the app as your exercise tool. So that was the foundation of it. It certainly applies to the general population as well. Anyone could use the app, but it correlates with, you pick a program. You want weight loss, you want strength gain, or you want a combo thereof. And then you just work through the videos.
Right.
And I made it like super, like you can have beginner, intermediate, advanced, and so if you're working the system, you can work through those levels as well. But I made it like where all you really need is a couple dumbbells.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's keeping it simple,
Right.
and sustainable and habitual. So that's where the app came from. With the app, with the books, it's teaching people, it's helping people. The monetization of it, I'll never make back all the money that I put into all of this, but that's not the point of it.
Yeah.
They're goals for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're things that I want to do and accomplish. And in that process, it's helping other people. So of course I want, as many users of my app and as many readers of my books possible. But spreading awareness is through things like this podcast and other places, allows me to do so. I think that I have a lot to offer. So if you ask me like what my ultimate goal is, I want to have my own like fitness show, or I want to be famous, but I have that acting bug and I like being on camera and I'm not shy. I like being on stage. So, and I'm just not scared to put it out there.
Right.
I'm like super, what's funny is that, like this summer is like the first summer, like I wore shorts every day to work, but I'm just very like humble in the way that I don't, I'm not like the trainer that shows up in their sports bra. If, you can look at my YouTube and some of the comments of the people are just ridiculous, but they'll say like, at least she's not one of those girls just, up there in her bra trying to sell you fitness, like I'm real. And, so I think that now where I'm at, I'm very happy with, what I'm doing. And I, some bug will itch again and I'll think of something else. And that's great.
Well, the next project you have, the next thing that you're launching, if you'd like to come on and promote it, we'd love to have you again.
Okay, sounds good.
Megan, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I'm really grateful that you had me and that we got to connect.
I've enjoyed every second of it. It was great meeting you. Thanks for being here. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.